best way to get kicked out of the Mall of America? You may have thought that it was bring a gun to the mall. Nope. Just wear a Jesus t-shirt. Hey, if you guys like this video, like what we're talking about, please like, share, subscribe now so you don't forget. We need those likes and shares to beat the algorithms, because the algorithms control the world around us, just as the security guards control the mall. And apparently in the Mall of America, the security guards were complained to. Somebody found offense to a man who was wearing a t-shirt that had a coexist symbol, a lot of religious symbols that kind of spell the word coexist, basically saying that all religions are the same and we should coexist and not be offensive to one another or tell each other that we're wrong, things like that. So coexist was crossed out in some way, and the words on this man's shirt said, "Jesus is the only way." So that is definitely an offensive statement, as Jesus said it would be, because if you say this is the only way, anybody who disagrees with you is offended. In our country, offense is the worst thing that you can do to us, or do to anyone, and that was enough to have the security guards go over and tell this man that he had to leave the mall, that what he was doing was offensive to others, that it was basically like almost on the level of like assaulting someone or something. Well, he knew his rights, he pushed back, and he did not have to leave the mall. And you know, I don't really know much about the story except for this. I bring it up though because as Christians, we should be aware of the legal and cultural temperatures in which we live. And you know, I enjoy wearing shirts. This is a No Jesus, No Peace shirt. So it has, you know, if there is no Jesus, you will have no peace. But there's also a K and a W, which you may not be able to see as clearly on the video because they're a little bit softer and lighter in print. But if you know Jesus, if you know who he is, then you will also know peace. And there's a double meaning there. I wear shirts like this because they're a great way to start gospel conversations. I have an airport shirt that I wear that is Jesus talking to a bunch of Marvel and DC superheroes. And he's got a little talk bubble above him, and he says, "And that's how I saved the world." And when I go through airports, people will look at the shirt, and I see them looking, and you know, depending upon the circumstances, I might engage with them. But they also, many people say, "Hey, I like your shirt." So I already know when I go into it, I know what I'm going to say when someone says, "I like your shirt." I'm going to say, "Yes." It puts things in perspective, doesn't it? And then I'll see how they respond. And if they respond positively and I feel like there's an opening to have a conversation, then I'll ask them, "So do you know how Jesus saved the world?" And then that opens up the conversation to seeing if they know who Christ is, seeing if they've accepted the saving work of Jesus Christ on the cross to change their life. T-shirts are a great way to do that. And, you know, I think they're only offensive if you see what Jesus has done and you want to live your own life instead of him, which obviously is offensive to a lot of people. What as Christians should be our response to this kind of thing, though? If, you know, I look at the Mall of America situation, think about kind of what happened there. What this does is it just shows me the increasing hostility towards the ideas of the Bible, towards the teachings of the Bible, towards the things that culturally are rejected by the Bible. This hostility of, you know, family structures, sexual identity, you know, personal identity, you know, values that God puts forth for us to follow, the things that, you know, the Ten Commandments, just the laws that he puts forth in living a life that is in obedience to the creation that he's brought about. We can respond in one of two ways. So, you know, my wife and I kind of talk about this all the time. There's a balance between proclaiming liberty for the innocent, right? So I've seen a lot of people respond like, we should all put on our Jesus shirts and go down to the Mall of America and just storm the mall with Jesus shirts. Who's with me? And I don't necessarily see anything wrong with that. I think we're proclaiming to the world that we're not ashamed of our faith, and we're not going to bow and change and be silent because we believe that this is the most important thing in the world and people need to know about it. Now, we should do this in love, and you know, there's that balance. But I also think that we need to be ready to be martyrs, because through history, the most impactful way that the gospel has gone out is through martyrdom, through people actually sacrificing themselves up to their entire life for the sake of the gospel. And there is something about that action, something about someone living a life for Christ and giving that life up for that truth that helps people see the power of the gospel. And as I look at this particular thing, I mean, for a security guard to feel like they had the power to tell someone who was wearing a Jesus shirt that you are not allowed here because you are visually assaulting people with your t-shirt is a very interesting time to be in. Because there's always been people who've felt that way. But when the authority over you feels that way, we move into a different time season of the church. And as Christians, we need to be aware of that season that is around us. And it very well could be that in the Western world, we are called to be under more persecution, increasing persecution, and that we are continually seen as belligerents and immoral and evil and dangerous, and continue to be pushed to the outskirts of society. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. I mean, there's things that are wrong with that on a moral level and things like that, but it's not out of God's control. We just need to be aware and be ready. So as I look at this story, it makes me think, okay, let's be bold. Let's be ready for this. Let's continue to remind ourselves not to be in a mindset of like attack and push back against the evil people, but remember that we do not fight against flesh and blood. We fight against principalities, and we fight against the demonic, the spirit of this world, the flesh, the devil. And as we are in that fight, we need to remind ourselves that we need to bring hope and bring peace to others, even when we're standing for truth. So if you're going this week to the Mall of America and wearing your Jesus t-shirt, please love people while you're there. Go out and be bold, but also go out and with the intention to be a blessing to those around you. Because if we want to win our enemies over, we need to remember that the Lord has called us to love our neighbor as ourselves, to bless our enemies, to attempt to show them that there is something different in us, because we do not battle the way that the world battles. We battle differently. God bless you guys. If this was encouraging to you, if you think there's anybody else that should see this, please share it to them directly. Subscribe to these things. We're on YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, all of those social media platforms, LinkedIn, even Twitter. We would love to have you be part of our community and following. We're going to be sending out email updates to both our investors and fans, and we'd love to get on that email as well. Comment down below. Let us know that you want to follow. We will contact you directly and get you information to sign up for email lists and all of that kind of stuff. And just find out who you are and what the Lord's put on your heart and why you've been engaged with the content that we make. So God bless you guys, and we will see you next time.